Finally, fantastic episode 53.
Oh, you were waiting for this.
Yeah, I was racking my brains, and the reason Peter suddenly so in such a jovial mood is because I was racking my brains trying to come up with an alliteration for 53.
You miss doing this, right?
The reason I loved doing this and the reason I'm doing this is because we've got the bop of all metal alliterators, if that is even a word, on the show, and that's Anvil.
Yeah, man.
You look at any Anvil album, it's just an alliteration.
All the way from
Metal
on
and metal.
Yeah, the classic.
to the latest album called
League It at Last.
and a whole lot of them in between.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I can't believe it. Anvil. Oh my god. Anvil is on Horns Up.
I think, what surprised me also was Lips was as kicked that there are two guys from India who are calling him in the middle of it.
We were his first ever Indian call, and I don't want to unnecessarily blow steam up our own asses, but yeah, we did that.
Yeah, man.
We will forever go down in history as the first Indians to ever have Lips Kudlow on a podcast.
And he was surprised that there were Indians fans of his, man. So I'm like, wow, dude.
Yeah, after all that we've seen and heard about Anvil, of course, the movie that came out some years back that definitely helped repopularize the band, and diehard metalheads would have heard of Anvil. Luckily, I through a very good friend, shout out to Ravi, who used to go by, I don't know, so many different names on RSJ, etc., and who's currently residing in Singapore. He introduced me to Anvil when we were working together way back, I think 2008 or something of that, 2008, 2010, something of that, is some year around that time. And he introduced me to Anvil by essentially playing this song called Mothra.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was a huge Godzilla fan.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I still remember watching or hearing that song, and I loved that riff. Mothra.
Yeah.
Mothra. And then, of course, watching the movie, etc., it helps you just contextualize what is truly a remarkable life journey as such of the band, or a life story of the band. These guys are legends.
No doubt about it, man. I mean, like, in the last episode, we talked about how underrated Annihilator is. These guys, I mean, for those of you who watched the movie, yeah, dude, these guys are lifers. And, like, I remember we were having a chat, and I was telling you when I lived in Canada, you couldn't find their CDs, man. They were, like, a rare. You'd find them in, like, second-hand bins. So I'm wondering who sold their CDs. I once managed to come across them, and then never again. Shame on me for not buying it then, but yeah, student life. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just so amazing to see their journey to now, like a decade later, them still kicking ass, putting out music, us getting a chance to speak to them.
Yep, and finally getting some sort of recognition that they most definitely deserved. Right? So on that note, it's a very cool, casual conversation. It felt like Lips was right in front of us instead of somewhere in Canada. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more, but here he is, Lips from Anvil.
Hi, Steve. Greetings from Bombay, India. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Wow. From Bombay, India. Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, the feeling is kind of mutual because we can't believe we're talking to you. And can you believe you're talking to us, two heavy metal fans from Bombay, India?
Yeah, it's the first time ever, man. Wow.
Yeah, the word of Anvil is here, and it's allowed here in India.
Wow. I'm completely unaware of that. They never do that. India? Okay. I guess I have to believe you. What do I know?
Okay, we send you photographic evidence. We are not scamsters. We are actually heavy metal fans from India. All right. Of course, we have this opportunity because of album number 17, Legal at Last. You've been
Album number
this
18.
Oh,
Wow. Okay, so that's one goof up. Anyways, You've been doing this since 1981. That's almost 40 years. So instead of asking you what's changed through the years, let's ask you this. What stayed the same?
What stayed the same?
Yep.
Probably my outlook and my taste in music has never changed.
What's been your outlook? What's been this taste in music? Right from the very beginning. Take us through where it all started.
Well, I grew up with the invention of electric guitar. So whatever that is what I love. Everything from the Rolling Stones to Pantera, I guess.
Yeah, and it's crazy because we kind of also enjoy the same music. So, uh, tell us about like what it was like, because I mean you've been doing this for so many years. You've seen the trends come and go. You've seen various bands come and go, and you guys are still standing strong. So just tell us about what it feels like to be one of those bands.
Well, it's actually quite interesting because we've watched everything. Well, I've watched everything from Chuck Berry rock and roll to death metal, and quite frankly, I don't understand a lot of the death metal stuff. I don't I'm not a fan of it, and I don't listen to it. And that's not to say that I'm against it. I just don't comprehend it. um, there's a lot of trends that come and go, which I don't really particularly follow. I don't believe in trends. I just listen to the music I listen to and create the music I create. I don't really pay attention to what goes on in the world. And I don't measure myself against the world. I only measure myself against myself. Is this something I'm happy with, that I like or don't like? And that's how I kind of look at it. I really don't pay attention to what's going on currently or what went on in the past. Um, I do what I do and the way I want to do it and when I want to do it. And I'm not really aware of what is or isn't out there. Um, Pretty much like an island. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's the best way I can express it. What are the differences? None for me. I
Okay.
still approach everything the same way and look at it everything the same way. So I really don't. The outside world has no impact on me, really.
Okay. So,
Musically speaking.
of course, of course. Would it be fair to say, or I mean, another way of looking at it would be, would you say that you're kind of stuck in time?
Yeah, but I think all bands are. It's not just me. How much different is Iron Maiden today than they were 20 years ago?
Hey, nobody's saying
How
that's
much
a
how
bad.
much difference how much difference was Motorhead from day one till they don't exist now? A lot of or AC/DC. People say they've been playing the same song for 40 years. So I don't know. I don't think I'm the only one. I think it's pretty common.
Oh, of course. And it's not a bad thing at all. Don't get us wrong, please.
No, 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 and it shouldn't be a bad thing. It's what it's all about. You work your life to create your own unique style and sound. You don't try to change it. You try to maintain it. That's what it's really about.
All right. So now is a good time to ask then, in your very own words, can you define two things or can you help us understand two things? One, what is your definition of metal? And two, what is your definition of anvil?
Well, in a certain sense, they're both the same thing. Metal music is nothing but a label. But what is that? Well, it's really electric guitar and something that your parents didn't like.
That is so well put.
And ultimately, that could have happened at any point from 1955 and on. So I think, they just called it different things. In the 1950s, they called it rock and roll. And in the 70s, they called it hard rock. And in the 80s, they called it heavy metal. So what is it? It's electric guitar. It's the music that made our parents cringe, that made our parents want to put their fingers in their ears, and called it noise. And still to a great degree it is. And now I'm a parent and I stick my fingers in my ears when I hear some of the music my kids have listened to. And they call it death metal. So there you go. So when I hear some guy they're calling it metal, and it's music that's played 1,000,000 miles an hour and it's got no melody, and some guy going, I going, that sounds like fucking noise. And now I understand why my dad called it noise.
So I'm only asking.
Mick Jagger going, I can't get no satisfaction. Goes, that's really bad English. It's I can't get any satisfaction is the way you're supposed to say that. Can't get no. What the fuck is that? These guys can't speak English, and that you call that singing? You know what I mean? He's complaining about Mick Jagger. What would he have thought of? What would he have thought of? Of Pantera? What would he have thought of? What would he think of some of the bands like Napalm Death? What would you think of that?
But as a fellow parent, I must ask this question. What do your children think of Anvil's music?
They think it's okay. My son likes the what do you call it? What are they called? The Fish. I don't know if you know what that is. You ever heard of Fish?
As in the band, the PHISH?
Yeah, they're like a new age jam band.
Yeah, they're jam band. They're
he loves that.
Jam band.
The Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day, Billy Talent. He's not, although he was into Anvil when he was a little kid, but now that he's in his 20s, he's like, nah, you guys are okay, but whatever.
Okay.
So, album number 18, as you stated earlier, in some countries, you're finally legal. But what is legal at last about? And what would you say sets this one apart from any other Anvil release that we've heard so far?
Well, legal at last, the title came from the idea of marijuana becoming legal in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the album cover is kind of pretty evident.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, but it's the actual idea and thought goes a lot deeper, in the sense that it has to do with what effects the legalization of marijuana have, and what effects did it have on it being illegal. And those things are all expressed on the album throughout. And the idea that marijuana was not made illegal because it's bad for you. Marijuana was made illegal because it was a threat to the cotton industry, to the oil industry, to the pulp and paper industry, basically to the economy, because marijuana could have been used to make all make diesel fuel. It could have been used to make garments like clothing. It could have been used. It could have been used as medicine, for that matter, because it was depleted in our ecosystem. We've been depleted of it in our food, air, and water, and as a result, we get cancer. And that's why they're discovering that marijuana can cure cancer. It's because we're actually replenishing what shouldn't have been depleted in our bodies, which is an anti sort of cancer medicine. I mean, there's many different things. Pulp and paper, all of our paper, we wouldn't have depleted the oxygen on this earth if we hadn't been cutting down all the trees to make paper and to make furniture, when we could have been using hemp. We wouldn't have been manufacturing plastic from oil, because hemp could be used to produce plastic and concrete. There's many things that hemp can be used for that it hasn't been, because it was illegal. So it has an effect on everything to do with our environment, which has many different aspects of the lyrics on the new album. Certainly the song Gasoline, Plastic in Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Those songs are directly talking about our environment and our climate and everything like that. Chemtrails, which is about putting chemicals in our atmosphere, and the reason that those chemicals are being put in our atmosphere is to slow down the process of global warming. And we wouldn't have global warming if we had marijuana legal from 100 years ago. And had we been using marijuana for instead of fossil fuels, if we'd been using marijuana for pulp and paper, we wouldn't have been cutting down our trees. So there's a lot to be said about it legal at last, and the implications that it has. And that's what the album is about.
Lovely. All that context. We'd like to play a track from Legal at Last on the podcast. Which one should we play, and why that one track?
Well, I guess playing Legal at Last would be play the title track. And basically the title track talks about our responsibility in its legalization and what it means. It talks about it as the facts behind it and what it's all about. And that's what the lyrics are about. It's not just about go smoke a joint. It's about the responsibility of what comes with it. And it's for better or worse. And that's how it's written. So that gives you, there's your intro for it.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Here is Legal at Last from Legal at Last.
Now's the time to pick up the pace. Now we'll make an ever face. Complexities get
Lips, I have to ask you this. What prompted the name Anvil?
Well, at first we were called Lips, and when we finished the first album and took it in and got our first record deal, the label thought that the name of the band didn't suit it, and wouldn't be very marketable. And they wanted us to come up with something more in line with what was coming into style, which was heavy metal music. And it made sense. Rob came up with the name Anvil, and it really made sense because an anvil is a hunk of heavy metal. So
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that's a great name for a band. Plus the fact that it has a shape, it's the name of an inanimate object, and it certainly worked well for marketing and for every other aspect. And that's how it came to be.
All right. Staying on names, from hard and heavy to metal on metal to now legal at last, you've kept at this for 18 albums. So I have to ask, what's the secret or the compulsion behind the attempted alliterations in each album title?
Well, each album title is specifically ties into the band and the actual anvil itself, with in the way that the artwork works with the title.
Of course.
Very important. Every time we use the anvil has to be put on the cover, so each cover has to somehow make sense with the title. So it has to tie in with the music, with the band, with the name and the anvil all at once.
Honestly,
And
I'm just
that's not so easy to do in an alliteration. So
of course.
every title had to work with artwork and with the band.
So at this point, I have to kind of bring up, it's been 12 years since the release of the documentary based on your band, and it quite literally brought you all back into the spotlight, into a new generation. Has life for you since then changed? And if so, how?
Oh, it's amazing. It's actually we finally are living the dream. You know, a lot of people say that, you know, the first 3 years were our heyday, but the actual real truth, the real truth is I'm finally making a living. After 40 years, I'm making a living now as a result of that movie.
Wow.
As a result of keeping the band together and recording through all the years. It didn't just happen as a result of the movie. It happened because we've been making music all along and never gave up. That's the truth. And the movie would never have happened if it wasn't for the music.
Exactly.
So it's all connected, and we're in a really great place. We've gained a huge momentum that we've never had in all of our years. I haven't worked a regular job in 13 years.
Wow.
I'm making a living from being an anvil, and I haven't had a day off ever since that movie came out. So what could you ask more than that? It's great.
Yeah, that movie just helped tell your story.
That's right. It made everybody aware of who Anvil is.
Yeah. Now, I also have to ask this question because a few days ago, we spoke to Jeff Waters from Annihilator, another Canadian band, and we asked him this question too. What do you attribute your following in Europe as opposed to North America? I mean, you're a Canadian band, but it's kind of strange where you have a larger following in Europe. So, what would you
Well,
attribute?
it's not strange. It's not strange at all because North America, this music didn't originate really in North America. The music really originated out of the UK. The new wave of British heavy metal is where metal really started to explode and started to mean something. So really the major following is in Europe. and always has been. Europe is not a trend-oriented marketplace. People who listen to metal listen to it for their whole life. It's not that they're into it this week and into something new next week. The bands that they grow to love, they love for life. So they become diehard fans, and you are fans forever. They are fans forever. So it's become really the mainstay and the main audience for heavy metal in this world is all in Europe, and that's where it's got its stronghold, and that's where it exists. And it's not something that's a trend; it's a way of life. So it only stands to reason that Anvil has done well in Europe, and as a matter of fact, all of our record deals are centered in Germany and have been for 40 years. So that's pretty impressive. It says it all.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. You kind of talked about this earlier, but I just want to dive into it for a couple of minutes. 40 years, what keeps you driven after all these years?
The music itself, and I love to do it. I mean, it's really pretty simple. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be anything complicated. I love the music and I always have. That's what I do. That's what I am. It's part of my identity. It's the person that I grew up to be. You know, I started doing this I started music by 10 years old and I haven't stopped. So it's, 54 years of being a musician. It's not going to end.
Lovely. So, our final question to you, since we're almost out of time: does Steve Libbs Kudlow have a bucket list? And if so, what is it?
I, you know what? I've done and lived most of everything I ever wanted to do. I got to do it. I guess in a certain sense, I'm like Lemmy in that sense that if I die tomorrow, I'm going to die happy and with no regrets. So I don't know what's the bucket list. Well, I guess if I really want to, I can talk about, or I could put things on the list of places I've never played, and I guess we could say that that's part of the bucket list. I'd love to come to India. Would be great. I'd love to play in Bombay to see what the hell that was like. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would
So
be
It would be
killer.
truly awesome.
maybe
Killer.
Bombay, yeah, I'd love to. It would be amazing. I've never been there. It would be an interesting one of those bucket list things. I mean, I've never been to Israel. I'd like to play in Israel. I've never been to, I don't know. Well, I went to China. That was incredible. But I mean, there's a lot of countries I haven't been to. I've never been to Africa. Certainly playing someplace like Cape Town or something like that would be a fascinating, or playing in Egypt and actually being able to see the pyramids. I've never seen that. So those are the kind of things that would be on my bucket list. And who knows, maybe they'll happen. Maybe they're yet to happen and they're things to look forward to.
Yeah, we both are certainly hoping someone listening to this gets you to a show in India.
Yeah, it would be great, man. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll be there in a heartbeat.
And on that note, I still can't believe we're talking to you. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
At
it was
the
really
moment,
cool, man. Really, really, really fucking cool.
yeah. So at this time, all I have to say is thank you for doing what you're doing, and I hope you continue doing what you're doing because the
Yeah,
world
thank you
needs
very
more
much.
Anvil.
I very much appreciate it. And thank you for helping Anvil out in India. We can use all the help we can get, spread the word, and spread the music. Let's rock. I want to come
Yeah.
to India. Let's do it.
Awesome. Horns up to you.
Hands up, man.
Wow. Take that off my bucket list. I don't have a bucket list, but definitely Lips and Anvil are one band that I've always wanted to just talk to.
Yeah, man. And, you know, whoever's listening to this, if you're a promoter, the off chance, Anvil are interested in coming down. Just saying.
Who wouldn't be? I mean, look at it. We've got the Indian mass. There's an Indian market which has not yet been opened
Which
to
is
bands
virgin,
from Canada.
Which is virgin and untapped.
Exactly. Metal bands from Canada are really like biting their nails trying to find reasons to come to lands like India, to exotic lands like India. But seriously, man, it'll be a fucking joy to watch Anvil in Pune or in Bombay,
Dude,
in
Bangalore.
Nerul, in Bangalore. Yeah, why
Dude,
not? In
fandom.
Bangalore.
Can you imagine?
In fandom, yeah, it'll be a legendary gig. It'll be a truly great gig.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Well, that's something that we can strive towards. Do you want to see that happen? If yes, tell us why. If no, tell us even more why. We definitely like to know. You can reach out to us on hornsupbot.com. So till next time, horns
Horns
up.
up.